The Resident Evil marketing is amazing. Here to discuss with me is, of course, Zach Sharps. Hey, man.
Well, hello there.
Hello, hello. I hope you
Hello.
agree with me because I think that how Capcom rolled out Resident Evil 7 is just a stroke of genius. They did it really well, positioned it really well. Of course, at the time of this recording, we don't know if they hit the 4 million day one sales. Of course, they wanted to achieve, so we will maybe go back to that, talk about the game's success. But right now, I just want to talk about the rollout of this game. Obviously, it was a surprise announcement at E3, no leaks whatsoever, and it was announced, and yeah, in January you can play it. It's like a new game, January you can play it. It's like a little bit of a Fallout like announcement, and then yeah, like a half a year later you can play the game. That was a really great thing. And what they of course also did, and yeah, a lot of people were watching that E3 trailer, they were like, what is this, Resident Evil? Wait, because it was first person, and they really looked at what PT did. Of course, PT was this playable teaser for Silent Hills from Kojima and Del Toro that made this, that they wanted to make this Silent Hills game, got cancelled by Konami, but it was a demo that was super popular on the PlayStation Network, and that got, Konami just threw it away. And now Capcom was looking at that and say, whoa, a lot of people like that. We have Resident Evil, and we're struggling with that, getting that back to the horror franchise. So they looked at that and they made that. And they also released like demos, multiple demos for this game to give you that vibe. A little bit from, they really looked at PT, because in that demo you also had like these puzzles and these weird endings and stuff like that. So they really looked at that, and people really liked that. Then they also had PlayStation VR support. At the time of this recording, or like, yeah, as far as we know right now, this is the only huge AAA game that you can play with PlayStation VR from the beginning to the end. So that's super interesting. It's of course great for the marketing. A lot of people that bought this device, and there are like, yeah, some, right now we don't have any hard numbers, but I would say around the 600,000 people have the PlayStation VR. So a lot of people are looking at this game. Maybe they were not interested before or whatsoever, but they want a full game for the PlayStation VR. So they got it, and they got a lot of hype from Sony as well, a big push. Then they also talked about free DLC before the release that will be coming after launch. So I think that if you look at this, I haven't even talked about the release window. Like I said, January, a lot of games struggled. In October, Titanfall 2, for example. In November, Watch Dogs 2, Dishonored. They also, and this is a separate video that we will do, talked about week 1 DLC. So they released the game, and a week later you can pay for a whole story chapter. So they have been working on this like before the game's release, but they chose to not include it in the game. Anyway, different topic, we will talk about that, but this also shows me that the game was probably already done in holiday 2016, but they were smart about it. They thought, okay, this is a huge franchise, we can probably sell it in holiday, but it's way smarter to do it in January, because if you look around you right now, there are some PlayStation 4 exclusives, Yakuza 0, Gravity Rush 2, and the Kingdom Hearts like remix, sequel prologue. I don't even remember the name, but it's crazy. Those games are coming out, but those are not huge, not for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not like Resident Evil. So they picked this release window, and yeah, it's great. It's the first huge release of the year. So if you look at that list, do you agree that they made the good choices for this game?
I think marketing wise, yeah. I mean, when it really comes down to it, you got to look at sort of what the game is, though. It's basically somewhat of a copy pasted formula from like the Outlast games, Amnesia, as well as Layers of Fear, and some other sort of smaller indie titles that some of them became a bit bigger, like Outlast and Amnesia became more of like a huge success, and a lot of people looked at them with a more sort of prominent eye. 3 Layers of Fear, I'm not sure if everyone likes that game or not, but that's another smaller one that I can think of. And this game seems to be pretty small as well. People are reporting that it's only about like 12 hours long.
I don't think that's small though, but okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you look at also the scale of the game, I mean, from what I've seen, gameplay wise, it's smaller corridors, stuff like that. So it's not like a huge open world or anything like that, or
No, no,
something
no.
more like with bigger set pieces like the other Resident Evil games that maybe require a lot more effort and time. So what I think happened here was they saw the playable teaser that was released, and they may have been working on something somewhat related, maybe were working on the engine and stuff like that, but I don't think that they were going this direction with the game originally until they saw the success and the massive amount of people that loved the playable teaser. Then
Yeah.
they just took a hard right, did that, only that, and then once they saw that the Silent Hills wasn't going to be a thing, they're like, oh my god, this is amazing, we need to get this out pretty quick while the hype is still real. And so they pushed it really, really hard. They pushed the development team really, really hard. Because like I said, the reason why I brought up the smaller teams making games like Outlast, Amnesia, Layers of Fear is because Capcom has much larger teams on Resident Evil games. So they were able to get this done a lot quicker and make it still a polished experience. And that's what allowed them to have a possibility of releasing in the holiday of 2016. But like you said, they were very smart, decided to wait until January, and because of that, the game has a lot more focus on it. It has a lot less costs in terms of advertising. I've seen a couple trailers for it already pop up here and there, and so they're able to push
Yeah, it's all for
advertising
themselves. Yeah.
they have the focus completely on them, which just allows the game to really take off and become a big behemoth once again, even though the game, unless maybe there's some random stuff in it, doesn't even at all like care to the Resident Evil universe. Like, I haven't really seen a lot of references to it. There's not really zombies or like really deformed monster type things like what you would expect from a Resident Evil game. I've seen some things that are somewhat demonic, but everything I see from it is like a brand new take on Resident Evil. It pretty much is a reimagination, and because they were able to market it so well, and because they were able to get it out when they did, it's gonna take off. And already review-wise, I think it's been doing fairly well. I saw some 8s and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, people love it, and yeah, that's of course great. To your point though, you said that Resident Evil, that they probably like. Yeah, I mean, the last Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 6, of course they had a lot of remakes. They remade like or re-released in some form. Like the first one was remade, but their Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 were re-released on the new generation of consoles. But Resident Evil 6, the last game they worked on, released in 2012. So they have been working on this, you would imagine, for a pretty long time. And I totally agree. If you look
I don't know though. Like, I think that they might have been working on something before, but then they saw this idea pop up and they're like, oh my god, especially like with Outlast and stuff like that succeeding. Maybe because Outlast came out beforehand, maybe they saw that succeeding and games like it, so maybe that's when they sort of went to it. But I don't know.
According to an interview from Famitsu, they said that Resident Evil 7 began around February 2014. So yeah, that's like not
Okay.
that's like three years, but still that's not a lot. And they also made demos, so people worked on those demos, and yeah, that's like a totally separate team. Because that's like a different part of the game. But what I really also think is smart, because of course, if you look at Resident Evil 7 and you see that, okay, the demos were a lot like PT, while the real game also had weapons and stuff like that, and not a lot of these crazy puzzles where you have to look it up on the internet, otherwise you simply can't continue. So in the full game form, it's like the demos were made by like sort of different people, and that really copied PT. So that's why I also think the marketing was really smart, because a lot of people thought that this was going to be a little bit like what the Silent Hills game could be. Well, yeah, they still made a horror game, and it's still like in a hallway, in a farming house and stuff like that. But they also had the weapons and like some weird monsters. Well, of course, PT just had some crazy girl ghost, and I don't want to remember that game because I got really scared. But anyway,
and it would make sense if Outlast sort of triggered that in their minds, because Outlast came out in February of 2014, on the PlayStation 4, so that's sort of maybe when it started taking off a lot. But before then, it was also on Windows in 2013, September 4, 2013. It's just in
Absolutely.
2014 is when they started ramping up a lot. But maybe, you know, back in September 2013, they saw Outlast sort of blow up and become this phenomenon. And then once they saw it also work really well on consoles, that's sort of when they kicked it even more into overdrive. Because, I mean, if you think back to 2013 and to now, that's enough time for a very experienced Capcom team with a lot of people to make a game like that. And
Absolutely.
it's very smart for them to be that reactionary to seeing something succeed in the industry. Because I have no doubt in my mind this is not an original idea by them. There's no possible way Capcom, looking at the past Resident Evil games, thought of this. Like Resident Evil 6, garbage. Completely garbage. So there's no way that they thought of this just off the top of their heads. There's just no way. It had to have been a trend in that they followed.
Yeah.
And I completely applaud them for that. That's what you kind of want to do if you're in a huge slump like they were. And they took it, they ran with it. From everything that I've seen, really good game, and they deserve a lot of props for that, especially since their marketing team had the sense to hold off what they probably would have done as holiday and just wait until January. That's also really, really smart on their part.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the critique, of course, for Resident Evil 6 and maybe a little bit 5 as well was that they wanted to get horror back. You want to be scared again, and this one is really, really scared. What do you think, to round out this topic, the PlayStation VR? Did you think that also helped?
I think it kind of was, in the sense that it would. I don't know. Like it could have went either way. Like they could have easily just released this game as is without the VR capability, and I think it would have been completely fine. I think by adding the VR element, though, it does add more of this is like a next generation Resident Evil game. And because of all the videos that they did with the people wearing the VR headsets freaking out with this thing, and all the promotion they did around that for a little bit on YouTube, that allowed it to gain even more momentum a little bit. And then even though I've seen a lot of people just playing it without VR headsets, it does make you sort of wonder if people have thought to buy a VR headset just for this game. But at the same sort of point, what else is there on PlayStation VR to really entice them to see the vision of that particular platform? So I think it was kind of smart because it's not really that difficult to add that feature into the game because it's already first-person camera. They just have to optimize it really well to make it work with the PlayStation VR headset. But other than that, not really a huge deal. They were already developing a PC version, so they already had to scale the performance really well for low-end PC hardware. So yeah, I mean, I think it was smart, just because it just added another reason why it's sort of the next generation Resident Evil game, and it maybe enticed more people to possibly try it because they saw their favorite YouTuber with a VR headset on sort of freaking out over the demo. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. And there are not a lot of horror games in VR right now. So yeah, I mean, it's super smart, and this is also like a franchise that works really well in VR, I think, because it gets even worse, like so scary. So totally.
You don't like horror games at all.
No, I don't like horror games at all, and let alone in VR. So I will never do that. I even fought like Until Dawn, and you probably know that
game.
But it's not like a super scary game, but I like totally freaked out.
Yeah, I love
Anyway.
Until Dawn. So good.
Anyway, thanks a lot, Zach, for discussing this with me. So Resident Evil, amazing marketing. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree. Zach, we will also discuss the DLC. I still don't know if we will put it up like earlier. So I will first put up the DLC video or this one. But yeah, you will see it on the channel. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Like the video if you did, subscribe for way more gaming theories, and thanks again, Zach. Goodbye.
Goodbye.